And we are back here on Open. Darren Jaime with you. The results are in after yesterday's Super Tuesday, and the Democrat and Republican primaries were held yesterday. And one surprising win, an upset in the Democratic Party, while Trump seems to be gaining momentum in the Republican Party. But the question is, for how long? Here now to discuss this and much more is political commentator Mariah Starr. Mariah, good to have you.
Great, thanks to be back here.
Good to have you. As we talk about yesterday, let's take a look front and center. Let's talk first on the Democratic side. Bernie Sanders is having a huge upset win in Michigan. How much do you attribute the Democratic debate to going to Bernie Sanders?
That's a pretty big factor. But there are two other big factors there. One is that Bernie Sanders really went into Michigan and campaigned a lot in areas where people had not gone before. So he's really tapping into the white working class vote there, especially talking about jobs and trade. So it's his message and his ability to capture the independents that really worked.
As we're looking now, we're taking a look at the screen, and there you see that Bernie Sanders, with that big win in Michigan, edging out Hillary Clinton by 2% of the vote. But then also in Mississippi, Hillary Clinton winning big, major, garnering 83% of the vote. And so far, with delegates counted, 760 for Hillary Clinton and 546 for Bernie Sanders. At this present time, a lot of people said that they wouldn't expect it to be this close.
Yes, because it was expected to be a runaway for Clinton. Sanders was behind by 20 points in Michigan, and suddenly out of nowhere he comes in and wins it. So this is something that is shocking a lot of people, especially because Clinton was thought to be the presumed nominee the entire time. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing kind of a replay of 2008, where there Clinton was going to be the nominee, but then Obama came and kind of pushed her aside. So history repeats itself.
And as we go now to the Republican side, as we know, Donald Trump, winner in the primaries yesterday. Many people are saying that, as we take a look there, Trump winning in Hawaii, Michigan, and also Mississippi. Ted Cruz coming away with a victory in Idaho as Donald Trump leads the way with 458 delegates. A race that still some say are close, and you've got Ted Cruz edging Marco Rubio and Cassius drop out, and we could possibly, as the establishment, beat Donald Trump. Good ploy, bad ploy.
Well, the establishment has been trying to beat Donald Trump. I mean, Mitt Romney came out last week and said he's a phony, he's a fraud, vote for anyone else except Donald Trump. It didn't work. Donald Trump's supporters are there, they're sticking by him, doesn't matter what happens, they're there for him. Rubio is one suffering from all this because Ted Cruz is capturing the evangelicals, Kasich is capturing the liberal Republicans, Rubio has nowhere to go. And so all of his support has been dropping in the past week. So we're looking at almost a Trump march to the nomination, with Cruz as second. We might be looking at a Trump-Cruz ticket even.
You're hearing Marco Rubio say, "Listen, don't count me out yet. I really believe that Florida can go to me. We're believing that we're going to be able to pull off Florida." Agree or disagree? And if so, let's talk about how does that play out.
He will not likely carry Florida because Donald Trump has been high in the polls there, and granted, it's his home state, but Rubio has been falling because of all the support going to either Cruz or to Trump. So Florida is his last stand, and this is one of the ironies of this election. I mean, here's Florida. You have a Cuban immigrant in Miami, talking about, okay, we need to bring the state together for Rubio, and yet Trump is coming in as this outsider to take it away from him. So we might actually see Rubio drop out of the race after next Super Tuesday, on March 15th, when Florida votes.
So if he doesn't pull it off, you pretty much expect him to say it's over?
He will likely do that, and that will leave Trump, Cruz, and Kasich. And they're capturing three different electorates. Trump is capturing the white working class authoritarian vote. Kasich is capturing the liberal Republican vote, and Cruz is capturing the evangelical vote. Rubio has nowhere to go. He has essentially ceded the establishment vote to Kasich. And so when Ohio votes next Tuesday and Missouri votes, you might see Kasich really come up. Just like he did in Michigan yesterday, he was really able to come up in second place. And that has been a victory for him.
And there you see some of the numbers that are taking place for next week. You got Florida, you got Illinois, Missouri, and then you've got North Carolina, and as well as Ohio. And these numbers obviously are continuing to rise as we get closer, of course, towards September. A lot of people saying, like we've had JC and Michael on before, we never thought that we'd be talking about Donald Trump at this juncture.
Yeah.
What is it about the Trump message that is resonating with Americans?
That's a powerful question because we're at a very critical juncture in the U.S. history right now. Trump is talking about three things. First, globalization has not worked for the U.S. China took all of our jobs. Trade has really suffered. So he's saying we're going to bring it back. The Mexicans are coming in. We're going to build a wall. So he's saying we're going to protect the U.S. from globalization. Second, the white working class vote. They want a champion to help them, get their jobs back, to protect them from all these different changes. And so this is something that you really see as a mega force in this electorate. For the first time ever, you see the authoritarian, almost fascist group come into politics. And then third, you have the Republican Party, the establishment. They have been doing things they think they've been doing a good job. The voters have been saying, no, you're not. You have not been serving us, and we want an outsider. We want someone who is not beholden to the establishment. So Trump is the ultimate outsider candidate. And that's why he's capturing so much attention. The outsiders in this election, they're running away with everything now.
When you talk about the establishment, quote unquote, feels as though if Donald Trump wins the nomination, it's pretty much just handed over to the Democrats.
Yeah.
True, false? Because listen, the establishment was wrong about Trump at the beginning. Is there a possibility that he honestly can win the presidency?
No. Flat no. Donald Trump's support caps at about 35%. So when you look at his support in the Republican primary, if Rubio or Cruz dropped out, they would coalesce around the not Trump alternative and knock Trump out. So if Trump captures the Republican nomination, you're looking at a 70-30 landslide for the Democrats. It's a given. All the political scientists know this. Trump will bring the Republican Party down in a historic defeat, just like Goldwater in '64. That's what we're looking at.
But then the question becomes, why wait so long? Because last week you hear Mitt Romney come out, you hear all of a sudden the establishment now taking on Donald Trump, how bad he is, and for lack of credibility's sake, you have a Mitt Romney who says he's no good, but 4 years ago stood side by side to receive the Trump endorsement.
Hypocrisy knows no bounds. I mean, you have the establishment saying one thing and doing the opposite. They have lost all credibility with the voters. So it's no wonder that no matter what the establishment does, the voters are going to say, we don't care. We're going to stick by Trump because at least he tells it like it is. At least he is telling us things that we know are important. Jobs, protectionism. We're in a situation now where the Republican electorate is in full revolt, just like the Democrats. It's an amazing election to behold, just for that reason.
When you watched the Democratic debate on this past Sunday, you heard Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton say, listen, we're talking about the issues.
Yeah.
We're talking about the issues, and this is what America really wants to hear. True or false? Because on the other side, you've got people who are listening to a whole lot of different rhetoric, but the numbers are up, people are watching, and people are listening.
Well, that's the thing. I mean,
what does America really want to hear? I guess that's the question.
What America really wants to hear is how will we get jobs back from China and India? How will we restore the middle class? How will we take the money away from that top 1% and give it back to the middle class and working class? So that's what the Democrats are talking about. On the Republican side, Trump was talking about his penis in the debate. I mean, you have this juvenile, chaotic discussion that has no bearing whatsoever on politics. And that's what the Republican Party has devolved into, this very sort of playground tactic approach. But it doesn't matter. His supporters are like, we don't care what he does or what he says, we're still supporting him. So that's why the Democratic side is almost guaranteed to win in November.
Before I let you go, what do we expect to see next week?
We are going to likely see Florida and Ohio going for Trump. We're going to probably see Florida going for Clinton, but Ohio will likely go to Bernie Sanders. It's the white, liberal, working class vote there and the student vote. So we're going to see the Midwest really at play and really going for the establishment candidates there on the Republican side.
Bernie Sanders not out of it yet.
Oh, no. This will go into April, even May, even June. We might even be looking at a California primary that decides everything.
All righty. Mariah Starr, that's why we got you here.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here again. Thank you.
All righty, Mariah Starr. Taking a quick break, but when we return, we're going to have more on Garifuna American Heritage Month. I bet you didn't know it was Garifuna American Heritage Month. We're going to explain more in a few.